Oh, hang on. Hey.
Hey there. How are you?
Okay.
Well, I just thought I was on the phone. And sorry to be late. I was kind of waiting on Dr. Hamilton. He's running a couple minutes late here. He'll be in his office at the university here just in a minute, and so he's going to join us.
Okay.
So he'll kind of walk you through what we're going to do before we start this morning.
Okay.
Not hard, not very involved. So I told him yesterday I want him to just go ahead and lead the process as he normally does. He does for everybody, regardless of who their consultancy coach is. He leads the process, and I told him that should not change just because we're online.
Okay.
And so I have breakout rooms ready to do, and so you'll do your presentation. We'll come on. Jeff will do his deal. He thank everybody, say a few words, and then you'll do your presentation, and then we'll go to a breakout room. We'll move you and anybody else that's civilians out so that I and him and your project supervisor and any other faculty that shows up, like John Balls may come, and Betsy may come or somebody. We don't know. We invite everybody, and then we'll talk, and then we'll come back together. And so we went. Let's see. We had Carly on Friday. Carly Pierce. She was in companion group to y'all in Charlotte, and she went on Friday. And the only thing that I would say as feedback from that is her site supervisor was most complimentary and said it was very impactful. It was how you say this politely? Why would I say it politely?
I know. Why does it matter?
Don't get too emotional.
I'm not.
You're not that way.
No.
That one got a little too emotional on Friday for a professional meeting, which kind of happens which can happen. Nothing wrong with that, but that's not me and that's not you. And so that there's nothing wrong if it does, but I prefer that we look a little more professional and that we look a little more business-like than that one got a little bit out there on Friday.
Yeah.
I better hush before I say something else. I fear there will be blowback over that one, but that's the way it goes. And so it's one of those. If they have effusive praise or you have effusive praise, that's fine. But that one. Let me.
Try.
Yeah.
Okay.
See if it will let you share now. There we go.
See mine?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'll stop sharing and give it back to you.
All right. All right. So everything's good. You're ready to go. Let me go back to full screen. All right. So what y'all got going on in nursing this summer?
Well, we're trying to fill some positions. We've had some retirements. I guess we're having some luck, but.
Oh, well, see, we're in the same boat. Seth left us, and we went through the process, and we just ended up recommending, and they hired Wendy. Out of the dean's office, they hired her to do Seth's job. So I've been Seth since April, doing task stream and Dr. Bull's been helping with licensure, but I've been doing those. So Wendy's she officially starts tomorrow's July 1st, but then we've had to try to hire her replacement, which has gone completely sideways. As usual, we're in the wall on that one. Indeed scraped off the job announcement. We got 40 people from them, but they posted, that's why the university posted that thing last week, that high priority message that the salary ranges from Indeed weren't accurate, because we had people expecting $65,000 for a $27,000 a year job.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and so we've only had one person who would even indicated that they would do a second interview.
I know that, I guess that's a good thing, Indeed, but we got a lot of stuff that was not, they didn't even meet the requirements.
That's what I mean. It was just, we had to go through 40 of them. We ended up doing 10 interviews virtually, but of those, there was only one that was actually somewhere near what we were looking for in the price range that they're willing to pay. So I don't know, but since we can't get three that will go to the second round of interviews once they find out that it's, not going to pay $65,000.
No.
So the 3 that we sent were 43, 43, and 35 were their salary expectations, and 2 of them declined. So I don't know what we're going to do, but we can't keep on. It can't be that I be Seth from now on, because we can't replace Wendy in her current job. So I don't know. I guess officially she'll take over for Seth tomorrow, but in reality, we can't move her into that role until we can get somebody to replace her. And so there's a lot of work that has to be done in task stream and a lot of work for licensure. So I don't know what's going to happen. We were able to we interviewed for nearly a month, and we were able to get 2 faculty members, one for elementary and one for curriculum instruction, because of, Jim retired Palermo, and then the elementary lady, she was on 1 year visiting and she wouldn't come back. It's too far for her to drive, small kids. And so we do have 2 people that have taken those jobs, but I don't know how long. I don't know how that's going to go either. When the contract negotiation starts with them, that may fall through. We only had 2 for each of those positions. We could even get 3 to do that because of the money again. And when the salary negotiations start, I think one of them, she'll probably do it. The other one, I don't know if she'll leave her current job or not. So we may be back to interviewing on that again. And I think we're going to start back to square one on Wendy's job. So it's not going as we had planned this summer. We're spending all of our time trying to interview and review resumes, and Indeed has, that's blown up the process. I think some of those Indeed candidates were just automatic, where Indeed threw their name in the hat just because they had certain words in the description, and they weren't even interested. And then because they put an unrealistic salary range on the job, the ones that we had that were interested, once they found out that it wasn't even nowhere near that range, they dropped out. So I don't know. But we certainly have been a lot of activity, not a lot of production. Let's put it that way, which is not unusual, unfortunately. So we're going to try to get through. We've got 10 this week and next of these, 9 now. If we can get through these, we got to focus on these, and we'll have to worry about interviews later.
I know most of my cohort's doing theirs next week, I think.
Yeah.
They said that's not That's not anything different. They said I always volunteer to go first, so they let me.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, 3 of them are going on the same day. It just works out that way. Of course, you know how that is. Your supervisor.
Yeah.
They really determine this when they can meet, and so, what is it? Next Tuesday, we've got Bruce, Lori, and Jade are all going next Tuesday, and then David's going next Thursday, and we should be done. We actually started last Friday, which was kind of outside the frame, but that's the only time that we could do that because people going on vacation. So we did hers last Friday, and the one yesterday was canceled. The candidate yesterday has got some health issues, and so we weren't able to do it yesterday. So we'll have to reschedule that one at some point. So hopefully we get off to a good start today. I'm sure we will. So there's Dr. Hamilton. He's back. Okay, we are recording. All right, we're just waiting on Dr. Abernathy. There we go. Good morning, Dr. Abernathy. How are you?
I'm good. I hope you are.
Oh, we're great.
Yay.
Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. I love your sign above your head, Sunset Beach.
Yeah, well, we've been talking. I'm actually in Lake Lure. That was the previous condo, and so my wife had to bring it here.
I gotcha. I like Lake Lure too. That's good.
Yeah, I'm hanging out here today, but long story. We only go for a week now, and we've canceled it. It was coming up week after next, and so because of what's going on, so my wife had to drag the sign out. So
gotcha. I get it.
She misses that place, but that's another story for another day. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Jeff Hamilton. Dr. Hamilton is the DEOL program coordinator for Gardner Webb, and he's going to lead us through the process today.
Okay.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Dr. Abernathy, thank you for joining us today. And also thank you for your support of Jessica. She's now completing her program after 3 years. It's hard to believe it's been that long. Jessica probably believes it's been that long, but for me, time flies faster and faster all the time. So just a little bit, some of this you may know, but this is kind of standard that we do for everybody, because we could have people coming in who really know nothing about the program and what we're doing today. But as you may or may not know, the DEOL program here at Gardner Webb is a liberal arts-based interdisciplinary program that utilizes a scholar practitioner approach to develop leaders. It's an opportunity to develop personal and professional leadership skills for the purpose of either creating, building, or developing organizations as a vehicle for achieving goals. Today, Jessica is presenting her project management consultancy project based on her consultancy project, which is part of the capstone for the program. All of our students do utilize project management principles as developed by the Project Management Institute, PMBOK, which stands for Project Management Body of Knowledge. And while our students do not seek PMI certification in the program, we do align the program and the capstone with their body of work. Our students have been working through this 4-stage process for now 3 years. And today, Jess will be doing a summation presentation based off of her work as encapsulated through an executive summary, which I'm assuming all of you have seen that or have access to that. Good. It is also aligned with PMBOK principles. And so we will have time for questions at the end of her presentation. And after that, Dr. Lamb will be creating a breakout room, although right now nobody would be going to that breakout room because of who we currently have. But if they do come in, we'll have a breakout room, and so that we as faculty and Dr. Abernathy can talk about some of the program outcomes and just kind of a checklist for us to make sure that we upheld our end of the bargain. And that'll be brief, and then we'll come back and have final feedback. So if there are no questions, the last question I have to Jess before I turn it over to her is how you would like questions. Would you like Jess to have questions along the way, or do you rather present and then we ask questions at the end?
I'd rather it be at the end.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what we'll do. So I'm going to mute my microphone, and Jess will turn it over to you and Dr. Lamb, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Jess, you're still the host.
Okay.
So you can go ahead and share your screen and get started.
Okay. All right. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so first off, thank you for coming. Special thanks to Dr. Abernathy for taking time out of her day to be here. I'm excited to share this with you all. So the title of my project was Allocation of Faculty Among Nursing Programs at a Community College. So a little bit of background. Gaston College was founded in 1963 and has grown into one of the most, one of the largest community colleges in North Carolina. It has multiple campuses in the area, and it offers a lot of different educational programs. It offers degree programs, certificate programs, continuing education, and then workforce development. Specific to the nursing programs at Gaston, they have several different options. They have a practical nurse program, or PN, and so when a student graduates from that program and takes an exam, they would be considered an LPN, or a licensed practical nurse. They have an associate degree nurse program. So when a student graduates from that program and takes an exam, they would be considered an RN, or registered nurse. And then the LPN to RN option, those students they're already an LPN and they want to further their education to become an RN. What is maybe a little unusual or unique about these programs is that they operate independently of each other. They do not share instructors, they do not share a budget, and they do not even share a facility. They're all separate. So that kind of leads us to what the purpose of the project is. So the goal was to combine these programs under one umbrella and have a school of nursing. So the organizational structure with these programs created a problem in how they operated, because they operated so independently of each other. There was a divide. So we felt like establishing a structure would help with communication, with decision making, and really with the culture, because there was such a division there. So when we sat down and talked the very first time, our original idea was so the PN program, the practical nurse program, is on a different campus. We wanted to pick that program up and move it to the main campus so that everybody could be in the same facility. That was our initial goal. We quickly discovered that we were going to have to do some other things first before that could happen. So the project included redesigning the organizational chart. We knew we needed a leadership position there. We looked at job descriptions, and then we looked at where faculty are in the program and where they teach, and making sure that they are allocated appropriately. All right, so when we looked at literature, the first thing I researched, of course, was organizational structure, because that's what we were doing. We were not only going to change the structure as far as hierarchy or the organizational chart, but we were actually going to pick up and move the physical structure. So I wanted to see what literature said about that. And basically, structure is, it could be individuals or groups with certain tasks or responsibilities, and could be with authority. So from that research came other themes. So culture change. Of course, there was going to be a big culture change. The cultures, values, and beliefs of that organization. There's several different change models that I looked at. John Cotter, for one, when he uses his model, he talks about urgency and resistance and the vision. And then also Kurt Lewin, his model of unfreezing, so unfreezing a current behavior or process, changing what you want to change, and then refreezing that so it will stick. Another theme that emerged was vision. Of course, you have to have a vision that promotes change so that employees will understand what's going on and that they would be willing to accept that change. And then finally, of course, leadership. Leadership is vital to change. Leaders are there to motivate. They are there to provide support and just basically lead in the transition. Okay, so the scope. So basically, I was there to assist, to evaluate, and helping them restructure the nursing programs. Like I said, we knew we wanted a new leadership role, so we had to make sure that person had the right responsibilities. So we looked at that. We looked at how teaching time is reported and how lab and clinical time is reported. We talked about ways that we can allocate staff across different programs so that an instructor in the LPN or the PN program can also teach in the ADN program. And then we looked at ways to divide teaching time between lab and clinical. So at Gaston, they do team teaching. So you may have three instructors teaching one course, and how they're dividing that time between the classroom, between the lab, and between clinical, and also making sure those hours are consistent between full-time and if we have any adjunct faculty. Okay, so approach. First and foremost, most important, we partnered with the faculty. That's the first thing we did. We met with faculty to make sure that they knew what the project was about and that they felt included and supported. And I think that was the right thing to do at that time, was to make sure that the faculty understood. We looked at job descriptions. So because we were going to have a new leadership role, we knew that person had to have a new job description. So we started from scratch. We were able to create that job description. While we were looking at that job description, we also looked at full-time faculty job descriptions and discovered that clinical time is actually listed in their job description. And at the start of this project, full-time faculty were not in the clinical site. So we were able to address that as well. Meetings and site visits. So I attended faculty meetings with Dr. Abernathy to discuss the project. That was the initial meeting that we had. We did a SWOT analysis with the faculty. We also met when we were talking about how we're going to do faculty load and how we're going to report that in a new way. And then we met when we were talking about clinical. There was some fear there with the clinical time, just because some of these faculty had not been at the bedside for quite a while. So we wanted to make sure that they knew that we weren't just going to throw them in there, that they would have orientation, and that all those outcomes would be met. I also met with Dr. Abernathy. I tried to go at least once a semester. Early on, I went, maybe we would go 2 times a semester, but I tried to be there as much as possible. I wanted to be visible for her and for the faculty. Research, so I mentioned the literature review. We also looked at other colleges and their nursing programs and how they reported faculty time, what tools they used, and then about clinical. And then reporting, so Dr. Abernathy did several presentations to senior administration about the project. our goals and how we wanted to move forward. Okay, so here's our timeline. So we introduced the project in November of 2017, and then Dr. Abernathy did her presentation to administration early 2018. The third line you can see looks a little strange because it's very long. That is the relocation of the PN program to the main campus. I didn't want it to just be a little block to say we introduced it there, because we kept on with this throughout the project. We didn't just mention it and let it go. We really wanted to see that happen. So it's kind of an ongoing line. You can also see where we met with faculty and did the SWOT analysis. We updated the organizational chart. So I feel like the timeline was pretty consistent. We stayed on track with when we were meeting goals. Okay, so risks. With any project, with any change, there are going to be risks associated with those. So I have 4 risks. 2 were related to faculty and 2 were related to students. So we knew going in there was a risk of faculty resignations. Sometimes with change, people cannot conform and they need to leave. So we actually had 2 resignations. Those happened later in the project, within the last 6 or 7 months maybe. One was to seek employment elsewhere, and we feel like that was related to the project and the changes that were going on. And then the other one was for medical reasons, so it was almost like an early retirement. So we don't consider that part of it was not related to the project. So that created 2 vacant positions, and we were able to get approval to replace one of those. So we were happy about that. The last 2 are related to students. So we did not want to see a decrease in NCLEX pass rates. So the NCLEX is the National Council licensure exam that once a student passes or graduates from a program, they have to take this exam to be an RN or to be an LPN. So happy to say that in 2018, Gaston's RN pass rates were 93%. In 2019, it was 94%. We don't have data for 2020. They are still taking, and with the COVID-19, that was kind of pushed back. But there has not been a decrease in their pass rates. For the LPN, they were 100%, so we're very happy with that, well above the national average of 88%. And then also the program met all outcomes related to student performance. So the project did not negatively affect students. So we were very happy with that. Okay, so outcomes. With our new leadership role, we decided to title that Nursing Director. So we created a job description for that person, posted it, and it was filled internally. As far as faculty time and their time cards, faculty load, we did create a new way to account for faculty time spent in the classroom, in the lab, direct contact with students. We had help from finance with that and from different colleges. We kind of looked at several and then combined one to make it work for Gaston. I feel like this really does more accurately reflect the time that they spend. And because of the new time cards and really being able to see where faculty are spending their time and that they're now in clinical, we were able to look at the budget related to adjunct faculty, and we saw a decrease in expenditures related to that. So this is a chart and a graph. So they started in clinical probably late 2017, early 2018, somewhere around in there. So we went back, we looked historically to see what was being spent on adjuncts. And this is for clinical and sometimes in the lab. So you can see a decrease in the expenditures related to what they're using for adjuncts now. And we don't have 1920 data, but I anticipate it being even lower. So now that all full-time faculty are in clinical. So anytime you can save money and still meet goals, have positive outcomes, I'll consider that a win. So how do we keep this going? So the faculty load, the time cards are being completed by all faculty now, and they are given to the new nursing director, and she approves those. They are much more user-friendly and less prone to error. So I can see them continuing with these. They may have to tweak them here and there, but I think this is a good way to report that time. As far as clinical goes, all full-time faculty are now adding clinical to their job duties and reporting that on their cards. So because of that, we were able to, again, decrease the need for adjuncts. So the faculty will report their time, then the nursing director looks to see if they need an adjunct for that. As far as the director of nursing, again, the position was filled internally. She has really been instrumental in making the needed changes for this program. She is an advocate for the students. She is an advocate for the faculty. And I see her continuing in this role as the programs move forward. And finally, the relocation of the PN program, or one thing that we started out with that kind of got pushed. Happy to say that there has finally been approval to move that to the main campus, and hopefully that's going to start in fall of 2020. So that's a wonderful news. So my reflection, and this is really about the consultancy, but also about the program as a whole. So when Dr. Abernathy and I first talked, I thought this is a tough problem. This is going to be difficult. And when we started out, the faculty were really like, she's here to change our jobs and she's going to get us fired. And, you know, it was to make life harder on them, which wasn't the case. But we had to present the project in a way that they knew it was necessary and that they knew they were going to be part of the solution. So this quote, we're actually reading this book now in this semester. And when I saw this, I was like, that sounds like my project. So Leadership by Hives is saying, you're mobilizing people to tackle tough problems. And I feel like that's what we did. We got people involved to tackle this tough problem. The other book that really hit home, and I'm glad we did this at the beginning of the program, was Colin's book, Good to Great. Getting the right people on the bus and in the right seat. And that's basically what my project was. You know, when I came in, there were some people that were not in the right seat. We had to get them to a place where they could be more effective. Sharing knowledge. So I say this with sharing knowledge with leadership. So I was able to observe leadership in action with Dr. Abernathy, with the new nursing director. But we also shared knowledge within our profession. And I think that was important. We shared knowledge within my cohort. And so I learned a lot from that. The Health Sciences Learning Center. So this was something that kind of came about that was unanticipated. So Gaston has created a Health Sciences Learning Center. You know, on lots of university campuses, college campuses, they have learning centers for, you can get help with math, you can get help with social or history, you can get help with writing, but there's nowhere to go to get help with nursing. So they created this, and it's really a win for the faculty and for the students, because the faculty are being able to staff that learning center, and it's going on their faculty load as direct student contact. So they really like this. Students like it, faculty like it. And then finally, on a personal note, I was asked to be on the advisory board for Gaston College for their nursing programs. It was an honor to be asked. We were supposed to meet late March, I think early April. So of course we were unable to do that, but I am very excited about that opportunity to be able to continue to work with them and, you know, to see how they continue to grow. Future study. So when I thought about this at first, I was like, there is so much information about organizational structure and change and culture. How could we, you know, how could we research any more? And then I think about the last 3 to 4 months of our lives and how our world has been flipped upside down, and how organizations have been flipped upside down, and how they've had to change structure, and how our culture has changed. And now I think there can never be enough. There could never be enough research on this. And I think, the last 3 to 4 months, somebody's going to research that and apply it to organizational structure and to change. And also, I think making sure that research points to making sure that the organizational structure makes sense, that you don't have people in positions just to fill a position, that they're there for a reason, and who the leaders are in the organization. I've learned that a leader is not a position. A leader can be anyone in the organization, as long as they're all working together for the right reasons, for the right outcomes. There's a few of my references and then questions.
I was just going to share some data for 2020. I just actually emailed it to you, Jessica, so you would see it. I requested this about a week or so ago. So we went down again in savings from 2019 to 2020. For 2019, our adjunct faculty for PN was 80,748, and we went down to 62,388 just in the PN alone. The ADN pretty much maintained the same level. And then another note that I would just like to share is that we have a new president here at Gaston College. He's been with us about 3 weeks now. So I was able to present a lot of this information to him and what we've done historically and where we're going with nursing. And he was very pleased with this project. Really wants other programs to look at what they're doing operationally, and is it a lean philosophy, and where could we shore up, because the state budget for community college is low anyway, and then now with COVID it potentially could be even lower. So we've got to be really smart about what we're doing and not duplicating efforts. And then the last thing I wanted to share is because of this and the change, Leslie Presley, who is our new director of nursing, she was awarded the staff award for Gaston College for the 1920 year. So that's exciting for us and this project. And some of the faculty that were not in the right seat have realized that they're now in the right seat, and they've got the great leader in Leslie that they deserve. So that's pretty exciting that she won that against all her peers here at the college.
Well, thank you for that. That's certainly timely.
Yes,
with the change in
very.
administration and what's going on with COVID. All programs are going to be under scrutiny now to be as efficient as possible. And
Right.
I like the notion that this could be a model for other programs on your campus. That's great.
Yep.
So it can have a wider and deeper effect. So certainly a worthy project. And thank you again for allowing Jessica to partner and Gardner Webb to partner with you on this project. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, we loved it. She was a great role model for Gardner Webb here at Gaston College. We appreciate
That's
her.
great. That's great.
I don't have any questions, Jess, because the questions I had here, I checked them off. You answered them in the process of doing your presentation. But I would like to comment on something Dr. Abernathy said, because I do think this is illustrative of an example that we all need to be aware of. So often, and there will always be times of cutbacks, and that there has to be, and we tend to look at money, and we forget that the best way to handle those is not look for places to cut money, but look at a organizational redesign.
Right.
Typically, when you do an organizational redesign, the byproduct of that is net savings. But that's not the goal. The goal is to realign the organization to maximize its resources, whether those are human resources and those. So people tend to not want to do that because it's timely. I mean, it takes time and it takes a little bit more energy, but folks that I think, and Dr. Lamb can either agree or disagree, I think folks that come through this program have an awareness and appreciation of organizational structure and design and how that can be done in a way that in some ways is a lot less painful than those who just want to start out by cutting money. So kudos to Jess for being able to demonstrate that, even if that was a byproduct of this. It is a ringing endorsement, I think, of taking the time to go back and look at input, throughput, and output, and making sure, again, you have the best resources. And sometimes you can do that and still have the best of both worlds, actually cost less money, but also have a greater impact. And so, Jess, kudos to you for putting a project of this magnitude together. We always hope our projects will be substantive and also impactful, but sometimes they may be one and not the other, but this one was both. And that's a credit to you, Jess, and to Gaston College and to Dr. Lamb's leadership on that.
I certainly would circle back with Jess to when we started this, and I visited with Dr. Abernathy, and we started this process, that there was a theoretical framework in mind. Again, Jess pointed that out. The Collins work on getting the right people on the bus and getting them in the right seat, which has been our overarching philosophy from the beginning. Not the savings, certainly that's been great, but it wasn't just how can we save money. It was the overarching theoretical framework of her consultancy was Collins and Heifetz, get the right people. Leadership can get the right people in the right places. And, you know, one of the wonderful byproducts can be cost savings, but the idea was back to the theoretical framework. And I'm glad that she made sure that we all understood that was the theoretical underpinning of what she's done. And it couldn't have been better. Excellent job.
All right, if there are no questions, Jess, we're going to let you, you can mute your computer, or you can turn and go out in your room and talk to your family and friends. We're just going to have a brief conversation. Don't go far. We're going to just talk for a couple minutes, and then Dr. Lamb will welcome you back in just a few minutes, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
All right, so Jess, what I'll do is before you go, I'll shoot you an email when it's time to come back.
Okay.
All right. All right. All right, so Dr. Abernathy, again, thank you for partnering with us and mentoring Jess through this project. We certainly appreciate that, and obviously we couldn't do that without you. I want to go through very briefly, if I can get my computer to respond to me here, and just go over very quickly with you what our program outcomes are, and just say, I think I know the answer to this, but I don't want to assume anything. And just get your feedback on this and see if this was the case. So one of our outcomes for the program was that our students will make significant contributions to the organization in which they partner for their project. Would you agree that we have met that? Or?
Yes, sir. I wholeheartedly met that one.
Okay, great. The other one is, let's see, the student will contribute to the overall learning environment in which they are participating in the project.
Yes.
Good. And finally, the candidates will demonstrate their knowledge, skills, and dispositions that they acquired in the program to support lifelong learning in their profession.
Yes.
Good. Good. Okay. Well, we feel like Jess has done very, very well in this program. we feel like we've met our obligation. And so the final question I would have for you is, do you know of any reason why we should not confer a terminal degree in organizational leadership on Jessica?
I do not know of a reason. She's done an outstanding job, and we really appreciate what you guys have done to help bring her this far to finish this project.
So I would ask, again, thank you for what you've done, but I would ask that as we move forward, if you encounter others who you would recommend to develop their professional and personal leadership skills, we'd ask that you would recommend us if you feel so inclined to do that.
Absolutely, sure.
Especially any of your colleagues there at the university who would seek to try to improve their skills. We would appreciate it. We get most of our students off referrals. We have students that come through the program that know other professionals who could benefit from such a program. And so anything you could do to assist us with that, we would certainly be grateful for that.
Okay, definitely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I've graduated from Gardner-Webb 3 different times, so
Awesome.
I'll be glad to refer them that way.
Awesome. You're a fan then.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Going to mention that when I met Dr. Abernathy, I thought this one might go well. I saw all those degrees on the wall, and so
Yeah.
This was this one was set up for success from the very beginning.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome. That's correct.
And there she is. Well, welcome back, Dr. Ivey.
Oh, God.
Yay.
Congratulations!
Yay.
Yay! That's awesome,
very much.
Jessica.
Thank you.
So proud.
All right. You know that I'm proud of you, but I'm not only proud of you. I'm proud for you for what the impact that you've done for Gaston College, but for yourself, I'm proud of what you've done for our program. I have, I cautioned you before we started, try not to get too emotional here, so I better take some of my own advice. But I know how hard you've worked, what you've done. We've been in class. You and I interact regularly on campus. I know the quality person you are, and we'll get back more than we gave you, or what I gave you. I know that's true. That you'll give back more, and that's what's supposed to happen. Is as Dr. Hamilton is going to tell you in just a second, you may be the only link that other people outside of our institution ever have to Gardner-Webb, and you will be a worthy representative of us. And for that, I thank you. And I have certainly enjoyed working with you over this.
Well, I thank y'all very much. I got asked the question, why did you decide this degree and not just get a DNP? And I said, well, I've got 3 nursing degrees. I want to learn something else. I want to learn something that will complement those degrees. And I really have. I've really enjoyed the program.
Thank you for that. Dr. Hamilton, I'll turn it over to you to read the charge and to close us out with prayer.
All right, great. Well, Jessica, congratulations to you. I know this has been a long journey for you, but boy, it just seems like yesterday when I had y'all back at the beginning of the program. And I want to reiterate everything that Dr. Lamb has said, and Dr. Abernathy, you, your whole cohort, but particularly you, have been a great representative. We really feel like it's a big advantage to us when we have folks who work at Gardner-Webb who have been through the program, because they can continue to impact the organization long after they're in the program. And so, as I tell people when they get to this point, you did this project as part of your academic program, but the real project was you and your own personal development from the time you entered, as you learned about organizations and culture and all those things and ethics. It really comes back to kind of what you had in 732, which is, who are you as a leader and how do you grow yourself? How do you make sure that you put things? So graduation is called commencement, but as you know, it's not the commencement of something, it's the beginning of something else. And so when you have a terminal degree, I'll share with you with what my dissertation advisor, God rest her soul, said to me. She said, Jeff, when you get asked a question, typically people ask a question and they want your opinion. But once you have doctor in front of your name, those questions will sound the very same, but now they're not asking your opinion. They're wanting to know what you know. And that as someone with a terminal degree, it's okay that sometimes you don't know the answer. But don't just substitute your opinion for that. Say to them, I don't know, but I will find out, because you now have a degree that says you know how to learn. You may not know everything in your head, but you know how to find it and how to get back. And so I congratulate you on finishing this little small step, but really the beginning of a new journey of lifelong learning and being able to impact organizations. As Dr. Lamb said, you will be the only Gardner Webb that some people will ever know. And I think as a DEOL graduate, we're obviously very proud of you, but we also think you're the type of person who will uphold what the university stands for. And I think you'll do extremely well. You'll be a great ambassador. And I know that if anybody is seeking for a doctoral program, you'll be more than happy to refer them, and or at least to me or Dr. Lamb, and let us talk to them. Most of our students come via referral. We get folks that knew somebody in the program, and you may have come that way as well. I don't know. We've never had that conversation, but we're so glad we're jealous that we'll have you at Gardner Webb after you do this program. We have a few people on campus that came through the program, not many, but it's great because we know you'll have a bird's eye view of how things work organization. So the last question I will ask you, Jessica, has nothing to do with the project, not your the nursing project, but more with you as an individual and your growth. And that is to reflect very briefly on the mission of the university. This is our North Star. This lets us know whether or not we've upheld our commitment to you. And as you know, being here at Gardner Webb, we know our mission, which is for God and humanity. So just take a minute and reflect on how this program has prepared you to serve God and humanity.
Well, I think this being able to focus, like my project was outside of Gardner Webb, and being able to take Gardner Webb there. And for my community, I feel like I have more confidence in my leadership ability, not just at work, but at church, in family things. I mean, there's just a new confidence I have because of this.
Well, that is a great answer. That is exactly what we think our founders of the university meant when they said for God and humanity. It's all about what we do for our fellow human beings and how we uplift. And you're right, leadership is an activity, and we can lead in so many different ways. So I think you are now going to be a treasured alumni of the DEOL program. You are always welcome here to come speak to our classes. We'll send you a link that you can give us your contact information in what we call the DEOL alumni database. We will not solicit you for money. We may solicit you for speaking to a class, or maybe to reach out to somebody who is thinking about coming to the program. And I'm sure you will be a great representative for that. And so I want to close here with your charge. Your charge as a new graduate will be to do all that you can to support organizations, to make them stronger, help them reach their goals, and to be a leader in every nook and cranny, because our world needs leadership now like it's never, ever needed it before. And you are prepared and worthy to provide that. And so, Scripture says where much is given, much shall be required. And so as terminal degree holders, we all have an incredible responsibility to know better and to do better. And so I challenge you to take that upon you, and as you go forward. So with that, then let's close in prayer, if that's okay. Gracious God, we thank you for today and for this opportunity to celebrate Jessica's great achievement. We thank you for those who have surrounded her and supported her in this process, from Dr. Abernathy, Gaston College, Gardner Webb, her family, and her friends. Lord, we ask that as we go forward from this day, as Jessica finishes this part of her life in this program, we ask that you give her a heart for service, hands for service as well, and a head for learning. And we just thank you for all that you've done, but Lord, also for what you're going to do for her, through her, and with her in her life in the years to come. We ask all of this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all. Jess, good to
Thank
see you. Dr. Abernathy, nice to meet you. If there's anything I can do, or the university or this program can do to assist you, if you ever want another intern, reach out, let us know.
Okay.
we will try to direct some, because we do have students who really want to serve and want to lead, and they need an opportunity to do that. So we will certainly send folks that way if you have a need for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
All right.
Dr. Lamb, I'll turn that
Thanks.
back over to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Dr. Abernathy, thank you again. Thank you for all you've done for
You're
participation.
welcome.
All right,
You're
Jess, if
welcome.
you'll hang on just one second.
Congrats, Dr. Ivey.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Jess, are you clear on the next steps of what you need to do next?
As far as sending my executive summary to the library.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. And I don't know what's going to happen, as you know. Supposedly the decision will come out tomorrow in terms of graduation. What's on the books now is 2 indoor ceremonies on August 1st.
I don't think
That's a no bueno right now. So the COVID pandemic team has recommended 2 things, and we're supposed to hear about that tomorrow. One is nothing. That would be their first choice. Their second choice is a general ceremony outdoors on Saturday, August 1st at 8 a.m. with no faculty. And they are not supporting any kind of a reception or any of those things afterward. So we'll know tomorrow, and we'll go from there. You know, this is putting us in kind of a tough situation. If y'all are there Saturday, August 1st, we'd certainly like to be there with you, but the recommendation is that the faculty not come, that it just be a quick go through kind of thing. So we'll play it from here, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to celebrate and that we don't want to see you. We'll see what happens, but I'll speak for myself and probably the faculty that you know, this is one of those things where, again, we talked about, kind of set this up, and we were talking this morning, sometimes you just have to be personally responsible. So I don't think it's the right thing for us to come, but that doesn't mean we don't appreciate you and love you and want to celebrate with you. This is one of those things where it's the right thing to do. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, and we'll go from there. But if you don't see us August 1st, it's not because we don't value you and what you've done. I just want to make sure everybody I had the same conversation with the faculty for males yesterday, and told them, you know, we're going to have to break the news to about 70 of ours who were certificate only, who we're not going to do a reception with. You know, they don't participate in the ceremony, and with no reception, so I'm having to make plans to drop ship their certificates straight from Johnston's.
Yeah.
So,
but it'll work out how it's supposed to.
Exactly. How it's supposed to, it will. So if you have any questions about the process, get in touch with me, and I'll link Dr. Hamilton in. And so if there's anything that needs to be done, but as far as I know, everything, everything's where it needs to be. And so just follow through on the rest of the requirements about getting into the library. And I think we're good.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And then sometime in the future, as we said, hopefully at some point, the 5 of us the 5 of you and Dr. Hamilton and I can get together at some point down the road. If nothing else, maybe even virtually, but we'll do something. So again, congratulations. Thank you for choosing Gardner Webb.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Thank you
Good
both.
job, Jess.
All right.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.